Our first speaker today has been a leader in the field of international telecoms policies for over 2 decades, and she was instrumental in putting sustainable digital development at the forefront of international cooperation. In January this year, she became the first woman to head the International Telecommunications Union, a historic moment for that organization. And just last night, I'm very pleased to say that she was awarded the GSMA Chairman's Award for her work in creating and launching Partner to Connect, a global leadership platform focused on expanding digital inclusion across the world. And so it is my great honor to welcome to the stage Secretary General Doreen Bogdan Martin.
Thank you, Laura. It's exciting to be here to address this gathering during my first 100 days in office. And having our UN agency on this stage, it sends a strong signal about the importance of digital cooperation. It's the importance of digital cooperation in this moment of technology history. And ITU has a long history, a very long history. We've been around for 158 years. And it's been 158 years of bringing governments, industry leaders, and experts under one roof. We're a vital part of the engine that powers the internet. We are the global platform for emerging technologies. ITU's role is key. It's key to harmonizing the radio frequency spectrum and satellite orbits, to developing global technical standards that underpin the digital world, and to promoting digital development in the global south. The digital cooperation ITU facilitates is needed now more than ever before. I strongly believe that we can't separate people from technology. And I caught the technology bug early with the Apollo space program, and now humanity is going back to the moon. Ladies and gentlemen, our only limit is our imagination. And when we set our minds on something and bring the latest technology to the table, not even the sky is the limit. The same is true when we look to deliver on the promise of this digital decade. And the best way for us to measure success is to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals, those 17 goals. That's why the mobile industry, through GSMA, was the first industry to commit to the SDGs. We're halfway to 2030, and I see 3 possible scenarios. The first one, digital technologies help to put the SDGs back on track. Our industry enables the transition to net zero emissions across the economy. New paradigms like Web 3.0 become mainstream. It's inclusive, no more digital gender gap. It's affordable, it's secure. Farmers, teachers, students, doctors, patients, everybody has the digital skills they need to succeed. That's what universal meaningful connectivity looks like. In the second scenario, we make some progress on the SDGs, but we're still falling short. Emerging technologies are going mainstream, but access remains inaccessible to many. We're still playing catch up when it comes to closing the digital divide between developing and developed countries, between urban and rural, between men and women, younger and older. It'll take hundreds of years to achieve gender equality. And that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, if we allow the status quo to continue. The last scenario, I think the one we all want to avoid. We fail to rescue the SDGs. Development is stalled, or it's going backwards. The climate crisis has overwhelmed us, and mistrust is rampant in terms of technology. Gender equality is a distant dream, and more people actually question the very value of connectivity. So what can we do? What can we do to challenge the status quo? How can we get closer to our goals? And how can we avoid that worst-case scenario? I believe there are 4 actions that we can take right now to drive progress. The first one is recognizing that finite resources like radio frequency spectrum and associated satellite orbits are the building blocks of our advanced global communication system for all humanity. They need to be shared equitably, responsibly, while avoiding harmful interference. ITU's role here is absolutely critical, most notably through our upcoming World Radio Communications Conference, the WRC, and the next one will take place in November in the United Arab Emirates. The outcomes of that conference will shape digital development for this decade and well into the future. The second action is that we speak the same language. And by that, I mean that we reach consensus on global technical standards to manage the integration of new technologies like AI, the Internet of Things, into our networks so that we can make them more connected, more performant, more efficient, sustainable, and accessible. We'll certainly hear lots about 6G this week, and I'm pleased that the ITU vision for 6G for 2030 and beyond, what we call IMT 2030, will be completed later this year, and it will make, for the first time, energy efficiency and environmental sustainability part of the specifications of this new technology. The third action is to think innovatively about connectivity. Let's take school connectivity, for example, something that's very close to my heart. With things like GIGA, which is ITU and UNICEF's effort to connect every school in the world to the internet by 2030, the data that we have gathered while mapping and connecting schools has actually helped us to bring prices down by up to 50%. A couple of years ago, Brazil made school connectivity a requirement in its 5G auction, and part of the proceeds were set aside to invest in school connectivity and the infrastructure for school connectivity. And that's what I mean by being innovative. And we can be innovative. But at the same time, we need to think big, and we need to be bold. And that's why the ITU launched Partner to Connect, our digital coalition. The premise of Partner to Connect is simple. Some challenges are too big for any one player to face alone. And that's why the ITU called on all stakeholders to come together to connect the communities that are left behind. And just after 1 year, we have almost 600 commitments worth close to $30 billion US. It's a great start, but it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we need you. We need you, the mobile industry, to rise to the occasion. Step up and make a pledge. And the fourth and final action is that we unite, that we all come together and we unite behind the SDGs. the Sustainable Development Goals, because failure is not an option. Failure is not an option. And as the UN Secretary General said just 2 weeks ago, we need to make the SDGs real. We have to make them real in the lives of people everywhere. And when I spoke with the UN Secretary General a couple of weeks ago, he stressed the importance of digital technologies and how ITU can be a pioneer and how we can help to deliver on all things digital. And yes, there are risks, and those risks are growing. But I ask, what are the risks if we do nothing, of inaction? When I was 21, I took a year off after university, and I came here to Spain. And that's when I discovered an abiding passion for technology and how it can change the world. And I made a promise to myself back then that I would never stop advocating for technology as a force for good. And I think that's something that you all share in this room. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the power to change the world. And the we is the mobile industry. It's the satellite industry. It's governments. It's researchers. It's the ITU, and I'll say it's the new ITU, a new ITU that is inclusive, that is transformative, and that is unified. It's all of those who make digital transformation possible. In September, there will be an SDG summit on the margins of the UN General Assembly, and ITU will organize a digital day. This digital day will bring focus to digital technologies. It will bring all players together, and we will feed inputs into that summit. Because this is our moment. This is our moment, and it is in our power to shift the world on a sustainable and resilient path and make sure that we leave no one behind. In fact, I would say it's our responsibility. At stake is the fate of 2.7 billion people, 2.7 billion people that remain today offline, and all of those that are struggling to stay online. At stake is humanity's relationship with technology and our ability to keep this planet healthy for future generations. Nothing less than an open, a free, and a secure digital future for all. And that takes us back to the 3 scenarios that I laid out at the beginning. And I think we all know which future we want. So let's build it. Let's build it together. And let's build it now. Thank you very much.